reverse Dutch auction. So basically, I show you a graph just to show you what it looks like. So in a very, very simplified manner, if we divide an artwork into, say, 10 pieces, right? And then everybody will vote based on how much he thinks this art is worth and how much, what percentage share he wants to get the allocation for. So for example, the top guy thinks this art is worth $1 million, and he wants 1/10 that. So he will pay $100,000. Yeah, $100,000. And where the second guy thinks, okay, it's probably not worth $1 million, it's worth $900,000, but I want 20% of it. So he will pay a little bit more to get a higher allocation. Because this process happens simultaneously, and the algorithm will eventually collect, and they will basically price out the lower bidders. But then the highest bidder will also change, eventually he will pay based on the quote of the second voter, just to eliminate some pricing bubble, because that's common practice in Dutch auction as well. So if we fragment every artwork in this way, we basically allow a very efficient trading process, because this is actually going to maximize the value or the price of the art. If the final price would be basically looking at the space of this ladder. This is how much this art will be sold at, right? And then the question comes after this auction is done. What happens is one of them say, I really love this. Okay, before that happens, this art is actually going to be stored in free ports around airports in various locations in the world, because this is now only a form of investment. It can be tokenized or it can be just held as shares. But then, it doesn't have to be physically transported because of tax, because of logistics, because wear and tear, all these reasons. But if one of them, okay, I want it in my living room, I really like it. And what does he do? He needs to be able to provide a bidding price. So maybe add a little bit on top of what everybody is paying, so everybody's happy and actually get some proceeds from the sales. But then, as soon as he provides that fee, everybody else must conform, and that is agreed by the time they sign up into this auction. Right? So there's no ugly internal negotiation trying to consolidate all these shares to one artwork. But then if this guy says, okay, I'm going to bid for it, and this other guy is not happy with it, he can outbid it. So it can be, it can be sort of a competition for another round until it's consolidated. And if nobody raises sort of buyout proposal, then the art will just stay as shares with everyone. And then it enters a secondary market where people can trade freely their shares, and so I need to further think about this process. It's pretty immature. But the idea is finally everybody will be able to say, hey, I like this art, I've got this money, I want to invest in 50%, right? And I want to diversify my portfolio so I can invest in different types, different artists, in different countries, different point in history, whatever. What is the other thing I wanted to say? But another possibility is, sorry. So this is the idea. But then if another person says, I only have this amount of money, I have less money, but I really love this art. This is like my goddess, right? This is the holy grail, the art, whatever. He can place a really high price to the art just so that he makes sure he gets an allocation of that artwork, and then he can, hold a small percentage of share. He may be paying a high price, but he's holding the favorite art, which he believes will appreciate more than the other artworks. So by doing that, we create a very liquid, very efficient art market globally. So there are a lot of more details we actually discussed into, which I won't bore you with, but this is the basic idea. And feel free to ask me any questions, because I may or may not have an answer to you, but you will inspire me. So please do it. Yep. This insurance.
So I saw an ABC documentary where one of those trendy artists does a mural, like this one here. Then they make a matrix over this mural, and they have a bid for a puzzle or a piece of that.
Yeah.
So he does a live auction per piece. And then they cut it out, and you can have just the mural. just a pixel.
Yeah.
Or you can bid for neighboring pieces.
Yeah.
So the competition is to buy bigger pieces. So you get your favorite spot of that mural.
Right.
So I think it's a really interesting art market thing because it gamifies. You say, I like this mural. I want this part of it. So I would want a Banksy, right? I want Banksy. I want the whole thing. I can't afford it, but I want this part of it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So obviously they can allocate different values to different pieces. Just like, comparing that to the real estate market, I had this conversation with another friend. So he says, he loves the winter in certain countries, say Greek islands or whatever, and he loves the summer in maybe Beijing. So if you can tokenize the rental market of properties, then you allocate different value to different seasons of a particular real estate. So, if you have a bit more budget, then you can just basically co-own the best season of 4 properties around the world, and you can, utilize them. And if you're, budget tight, maybe student or you're a retiree, you don't want to, you don't necessarily need the season, you just want to stay indoor, cozy, and enjoying the city, and you can take the low season. I guess for art, you can do, that as well. But this is slightly different. This is really about investment, and I even thought about, tax deduction regime, but I need to think, there's a lot of work to be done in this idea.
I am ignorant in this market.
Yeah.
So, are there many other people doing similar things?
Oh yeah, so there is. So I looked into a couple. There are a lot of blockchain companies saying they are art. A lot of them are actually more on the copyright side, logistics, right? But then on investment, there's this guy. So I think Nick last time showed me the name, Athena, right? And the 2 guys I got a lot of ideas from this week happen to know them, and they really don't like them. You know why? Because these guys are actually managing an investment scheme. So they are managing a fund, right? So they basically run this opaque scheme where their fund managers decide which artworks to buy and sell, and then people can only invest in their fund, which is very different from what they promised in the white paper.
That's your real competition. This is what blockchain and Bitcoin is facing the banks. So they're not interested in transparency or accurate market pricing and price discovery. The information arbitrage allows that advantage.
Yes, so I know that I'm going to annoy a lot of people by creating this business, but if I can really bring it to succeed, then it's going to liberate a lot of value and benefit majority.
Apart from the one that Leon mentioned,
have
you seen any other groups who are trying to fractionalize ownership?
I think it's sort of mentioned in this white paper as well, but they're not really doing it.
They don't seem to be doing it.
Yeah, they're not doing it. So it's not. I don't think it's very. I might have seen some other businesses ideas, but I don't think they've gone anywhere. I haven't looked in too much into. I did a few keyword searches and I haven't found someone who's exactly doing that. Certainly no one in Australia. So.
And there are some general
Raven, yeah, I think they're general assets, so anything. So they're not in a niche. And then I thought about if you want to do everything, fine, but I'm gonna occupy this niche.
I think that this is a real niche.
Yeah.
So you might need some generalized protocols that may be helpful.
Maybe I can even utilize their protocol to run this.
Yeah, it's interesting when you look at the in the Ethereum context, ERC 725. So the question of how can you specify like the pixels that Leon's talking about, or the time of the year when you can see it, or other variables. It seems to me there might be a market here.
I think there is a market, and the thing is, you've got to think about, even just in this niche, we still got to think about where the market is. So now I'm thinking 2 ends, right? The really high end, where you can easily, make a really good investment out of it. Where another end is the lower end, because these are the underappreciated and undervalued arts. Whereas in the middle, there are a lot of them, just technique-wise, not quite different from, their lower neighbors, but then they're more famous. And they probably are either fair price or even overpriced. So I don't want to target that group.
So what's the benefit to society? Because this is, if you're going to do an ICL,
Yes.
this is going to be your art song.
So this is, because this
So
not,
this is an appreciation of art overall.
yeah,
And you're trying to get a value chain increase,
yeah,
a lifting in
yeah.
of the art appreciation for everyone.
And also, so that it's only looking at that, it looks like a pyramid scheme. But the end game is really to make the environment a bit better for all the artists, to incentivize people with talent to really start doing art because they can actually profit from it. And then the world will be more beautiful.
That's how the industry is always. It's good as the virtuous circle, not a pyramid.
Yeah, just sorry.
Any other questions?
Yep. Yep. Yeah, that's quite easy. We outsource to third parties. So the third parties will be working with the votes. Basically, the whole process will be validated. So if you like, we can build it into the blockchain. But that's not where the core value add is.
Have you thought, actually in another context, three contexts I've been working on. We've been working on the whole idea of consensus algorithms,
Yeah.
of randomized groups from broader populations who pass opinions.
Yeah.
And because of their reputation records, then earn more than they earn coin in that context. And my guess is that this market may be one where that may be useful.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So there's actually more. Sorry. So there's actually a little bit more detail than what I just discussed. So basically, I thought about, how do we validate art before they are allowed to enter this platform, right? So we don't want anybody to upload their garbage. But then we also don't want a very centralized manner. So our artists choose whatever they believe is good. And that is not good either. We use a voting system for that. So, and also that links to another question you asked me before, the networking effect. So if we get an artist to, the artist to upload their artwork, right? But their artwork needs to pass a threshold of votes, and only one vote from one person. And then artists, so some artists will generally get a lot of votes because they're famous or they're likable, but then some artists will actually bring all their friends and relatives or whatever, come to vote for themselves to get their artwork into the platform. That's fine. We just need to find the right threshold, right? So then that is going to increase the number of audiences and registered users for the platform exponentially as well.
So the art validation, the arts votes are.
Yes. Yeah, I was actually invited to it. But
get in front of artists, get in front of art collectors.
Yeah, that's cool. That's actually an idea of, we are also planning to hold all these events in various cities we go to.
No, it's just a real cool question. You're a very personable person. You should be able to just go in there and talk to someone.
That's what I'm planning to do.
Boots on the ground.
Yes,
Get in front of them.
yeah. And I know this is like, my friend just really experienced in the art market, but like through engagement, I also realized that I take networking skills for granted because honestly nothing fails. So I do think I need to take over a lot of that task. So this is something. And she's going to do it, and I'm going to do it. And it's not going to just be me and her. I want more talented people on our team. So, by the time investors look at us, they're like, this is a solid team. This is not
So bottom line here tonight is that you are trying to get people to join your team.
Yes.
Good, yeah. So everyone presenting tonight is trying to get to engage with people.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Did you work with some of your white paper?
No, this is someone else. This is our competitor white paper.
Okay.
Yeah. But you can download it if you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any more questions?